Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the deep stillness of a desert dawn, where the caravan stirs long before the sun lifts its first blade of light above the dunes. You wake not in your own bed, not on a soft mattress from IKEA, or beneath a duvet rinsed in lavender, but on the firm earth itself, your only cushion a folded woolen blanket that smells of smoke, sweat, and sand. The ground is uneven. Pebbles press into your ribs. Your shoulder tingles from where the weight of your body has lain unmoving through the night. The blanket, heavy with dust, holds almost no warmth now. You are awake, though your muscles plead for sleep. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If you'd like, leave a little note in the comments about where and when you are listening tonight. It always amazes you how far these journeys reach. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first sensation is the temperature, a cold so clean it surprises you, biting the skin even through rough cloth. The desert is famous for heat, but its truest secret shows itself at dawn, air as sharp as mountain glass, breath beading to mist before it thins and disappears. You curl your toes against the chill, wishing for socks that do not exist here, wishing for boots with padded soles instead of cracked leather sandals. A shiver moves up your spine like a small animal looking for shelter. The body, stiff and reluctant, accepts that the day begins whether it wants it or not. Then come the sounds. They arrive gradually, as if the desert itself stretches and yawns. First, the whisper of wind combing the dunes, a dry sigh that tickles your ears. Then the low mutter of people stirring, throats cleared, a cough swallowed, a hushed word. Somewhere to your right, a child lets out a brief whimper, quieted by a palm that knows this routine. And close by, a camel's deep, bubbling groan, half complaint, half warning, vibrates in your chest. Bells tied to the long, patient necks clink irregularly, accidental music marking the boundaries of a camp that never fully sleeps. At home in the modern world, the first sound might be a phone alarm, or the rush of water from a hot shower. Here there is no alarm but your body's own ache, no running water but the slosh of precious skins tied shut with leather cords. There are no clean pajamas, no bedside lamp, only the sting of sand in your eyelashes and the taste of yesterday's dust clinging to your tongue. It is not luxurious, but it is honest. The earth does not lie about what it offers. You rub your eyes, above the sky thins from indigo to ash, a faint promise of sunrise along the far hills of sand. You pull your headcloth higher, cinching it against the cold, fingers numb. You check the knots on your bundle, a spare tunic, a sewing needle wrapped in cloth, a pouch with a few coins, your writing read, the small life you carry across a great emptiness. A man kneels at the shallow fire pit, coaxing last night's embers with careful breaths. He feeds them slivers of date palm twig. Sparks leap and are caught by the wind, then curl back to kiss the kindling. A thin rope of smoke lifts and unfurls, and the smell reaches you, sharp, bitter, comforting. Another trader stands, joints clicking like dry twigs, and stretches until the night shivers off his back. The caravan wakes not with cheer, but with necessity. The road punishes dawdlers. Dawn is a stern teacher. You sit up fully now, brushing grit from your hair, feeling the stiff knot where your neck met the ground. Your bedroll is more obligation than comfort. Imagine a wooden bench in a cold station, or the floor of a bare tent with only one thin layer between you and stone. The body adapts, but it never delights. Every morning begins with this negotiation between flesh and earth. A neighbor offers a cup, the last swallow from a water skin, warmed by the long hours of your sleeping bodies pressed nearby. The liquid tastes faintly of leather, with a sour edge that clings to your tongue, yet it clears your throat and steadies your breath. You sip slowly and hand it back, careful not to spill. Today will be long, and a drop missed in the morning may be a regret by noon. The animals rise, an ungainly ballet. Camels unfold their knees with creaking groans, long lashes blinking sleep from large, indifferent eyes. Handlers test ropes, tug at worn knots, and run palms along the woven pads to judge if they will carry without chafing. Each beast bears its burden, silk wrapped in oiled cloth, fragrant pepper and cinnamon, indigo wool rolled tight, sheets of hammered copper. In records left on caravanserais walls, and in dusty travelogues from long routes between Changan and Samarkand. Each animal's load is tallied and taxed. A single dromedary can shoulder well over 100 kilograms when fed, watered, and kept in rhythm. Your eyes linger on a pack where a strap has thinned to a whisper. You tie a second line. Twice is safer than once. The horizon breathes a thin gold. Shadows lengthen backward across the camp. People move with purpose now, and language becomes a tool. Commands cut through the hush, short and sharp. A boy hurries with a bundle of bread. A woman checks a leather satchel of herbs. Charms hang from saddle horns, carved bits of bone, a knot of red thread, a bead of blue glass. Records suggest dawn has always been the hour of greatest tension, not for fear of raiders, but for the daily question, will the caravan move as one creature, or stumble from its first step? Letters hint that camels sometimes refuse to rise for reasons no handler can agree upon. Spirits, stubbornness, a scent on the wind only they can smell. No one is certain, everyone pretends to be. A scrap of breakfast makes its slow way around the circle. Flatbread, hard from travel, cracks under your teeth, and you soften it with a date pressed into a sticky coin. The fruit's sweetness surprises you every time, bright as a small flame. Someone breaks a thumb of goat cheese, sharp, sour, a welcome sting that wakes your tongue. It is not a feast, but it is fuel. It carries you from one hour to the next. You dream, for a flicker of clear tumblers and ice cubes clinking, of coffee steam, of buttered toast, and then you let the dream pass through you like a wind that does not settle. Straps creak. Bells jangle, dust lifts as people pace to and fro, tightening cinches, checking burdens, loosening tight knots so they will not seize in the heat. You wrap your headcloth again, leaving only a slice of skin around your eyes. A charm knocks softly against your collarbone, a reminder of someone who tied it there with a private wish. You feel equal parts belief and doubt. Out here, superstition and practicality drink from the same cup. Then the moment, the first collective lurch as the caravan begins to move. Dozens of legs, human and animal, discover the same rhythm. Sand grinds under soles. Camel pads kiss earth with a heavy, patient hush. The sound is not grand, but it is certain. Your own steps join the pattern, knees warming to the task, hips finding their swing. The desert ahead lies clean and blank, a scroll waiting for a day's slow script. The cold loosens its grip. Heat swells behind your back as the sun clears the rim of the world. Shadows shrink to neat pools under bellies and boots. Already your shoulders register the weight of what may come. Thirst that rasps the throat to paper, winds that erase footprints and plans, illness that travels faster than a healthy pace, a flash of steel on a distant ridge. Yet for this fragile interval, it is only beginning. Only the cool echo of morning, the bread's dryness still on your teeth, the bells weaving their tired song through breath and sand. You walk on, body sore but spirit steady, knowing that today, like yesterday, the caravan may break, or it may survive unbroken, carried forward by patience, ritual, and the quiet hope stitched into every knot. The sun climbs slowly at first, the faint pale light swelling into gold, then into a heat that presses against your skin. The warmth is welcome in the first few minutes. Your fingers thaw, your joints loosen, but quickly it turns into weight. The chill that made you shiver at dawn vanishes as if it never existed. Within half an hour you feel sweat prickling along your brow, soaking into the linen of your tunic. The air tastes different now, sharper, as if sand grains are already dissolving on your tongue. Your stomach still turns over the rough meal from camp. Flat bread, dates, a piece of goat cheese. These foods are chosen not for pleasure but endurance. The bread is hard enough to crack teeth, sometimes baked days earlier, and kept in cloth until it becomes more stone than grain. The dates are sweet, sticky enough to glue the crumbs together and ease them down the throat. Cheese, when it can be spared, is sour and salty, useful for making your mouth water. And water itself, always a danger. The skins slung on camels' sides are counted like treasure. Every gulp has to be measured, shared out, watched. In some accounts left by Persian chroniclers, Caravan workers ration themselves to just a few swallows at dawn and a few at night, surviving the entire day with dry mouths and cracked lips. Other stories contradict this, claiming that in wetter years or near rivers, traders grew careless and drank freely. No one fully agrees. But you, trudging across this current stretch of sand, feel the danger of thirst in the body more than in the mind. Your lips peel, your tongue presses hard to the roof of your mouth. You glance at the water skin swaying on the side of a camel, and know that what hangs there might not be enough for everyone. You shift your pack, the straps rubbing against your shoulders. Ahead of you the caravan stretches in a wavering line, 20-30 camels, each one carrying bolts of silk, spices sealed in pottery jars, rough sacks of wool, sometimes even caged birds meant for noble houses far away. The beasts complain in their groaning voices, as if each step is insult. Dust clouds rise beneath their padded feet, drifting into your eyes and coating the back of your throat. You taste grit with every breath. A fellow trader at your side mutters a small curse, tugging his headcloth down over his face. You do the same, wrapping the cloth tighter so only your eyes remain. It helps, though breathing feels like pulling air through woven walls. The danger is not only dryness but heat itself. Letters from Chinese envoys speak of men collapsing in midday sun, falling to their knees as if their bones had turned liquid. Sometimes they rose again with help, sometimes they did not. The body can fail without warning. You pace your steps with the animals, learning to listen to them. A camel groans before it falters, its head swaying lower, eyes half shut. When that happens, you know it is time to halt, even briefly, to pour a thin stream of water into its mouth. Losing a load animal is more dangerous than losing a man. That truth, cruel as it sounds, is whispered often around these routes. Without the beasts, the goods cannot move, and without the goods there is no reason to travel at all. The road is not a road, not truly. Sometimes it is a track of pressed sand where footprints linger from previous caravans. Sometimes it is only memory. We follow the ridge until the stone shaped like a lion. We turn where the dune lies against the cliff. Some guides swear by stars even during the day, pointing out their positions, though not everyone believes. You walk squinting against the light, trusting that the men ahead have chosen correctly. The sun rises higher, shadows shorten, your back prickles with heat. The cloth around your mouth grows damp with sweat, and then dries again within minutes. You remember the bite of cold from dawn and wonder how such opposites exist in the same place. The desert offers no answers, only extremes. You pause when the caravan halts at mid-morning, though no shade waits here. Animals are urged to kneel, dropping with a heavy thud that shakes the ground. Dust rises around them like sighs. Men squat on their heels, pulling small satchels of grain, crushing kernels between their teeth. You do the same, grain cracked between molars, dry as chalk but filling enough. Some chew on fennel seeds carried from distant markets, the flavor sharp and strange against the bland bread. A traveler near you shares a trick. He mixes a lump of dried goat fat with a handful of flour and chews slowly, letting the grease soften the mouth. The taste is heavy, but it eases thirst. Records suggest that this mixture was common among poorer caravan hands, a survival food rather than a delicacy. To modern ears it might sound unbearable, but to you in this moment it is almost a blessing. There is little talking in the march. The sound of breath and footsteps fills the space, broken only by the jangle of bells and the occasional shout when an animal veers. Silence itself becomes a danger. In long stretches without conversation, minds wander. The horizon wavers with heat haze, and sometimes you see what is not there: a pool of water glinting, a cluster of trees bending in wind, a white wall of a distant city. You blink, knowing these are mirages, but your heart stumbles with hope each time. Some accounts hint that caravan leaders told stories while walking, just enough to keep minds tethered to reality. Others disagree, saying men saved their voices for night, unwilling to waste spit and strength in the burning hours. In your steps you sense how both might be true. Sometimes a word saves you from despair, sometimes silence is safer than speech. Your skin feels tighter now, stretched by heat, as if the sun itself is pulling. You lick your lips but find no relief. You think briefly of home, of cool wells or shaded courtyards, and then you push the thought away. Memory is another danger. Longing can topple you faster than thirst. The caravan moves again, steady, patient, fragile. Ahead lies only more sand, more brightness, more invisible miles. You walk because walking is survival. Each step is a small resistance against the desert's demand to stop. As noon creeps closer, the heat grows heavy, pressing down like a hand across your back. Breath feels slower, shallower. You know that soon, the caravan will need to seek a hollow of shade, even if only beneath the long bellies of the camels. You carry on, waiting for the signal to halt, feeling the first true danger of the Silk Road carve itself into your body. Thirst constant and unrelenting, as real an enemy as any bandit's blade. The halt for midday comes later than you wish. The sun has climbed high, a white coin nailed into the sky with no mercy, and its glare presses into your skull until every thought feels brittle. When the signal finally comes, a call carried down the line of men and animals, you feel your knees soften with relief. Camels fold awkwardly into the sand, dropping heavier sacks, exhaling groans that sound almost human. The caravan slackens into a scatter of shapes, each person claiming a patch of ground where the sun burns a little less sharply. Shade is scarce. Some men crouch close to the bellies of their camels, where the animals' bulk blocks at least a strip of brightness. Others stretch thin pieces of cloth between poles, creating shadows hardly bigger than a cloak. You kneel beneath one such strip, though the air underneath is hardly cooler. It is like sitting inside the oven's mouth rather than under its flame. Still, the difference matters. You tug at your water skin, shaking it to guess how much remains. The sound is faint. A swallow is permitted, nothing more. The leather of the skin tastes stronger than the water itself, and you hold it in your mouth before swallowing, letting your tongue believe in moisture for a little longer. Food comes next. You draw out a lump of dried meat, torn into fibers that stick between your teeth. Beside you, another trader unwraps a cloth bundle with roasted chickpeas, their skins wrinkled, a few blackened. He offers some with a quiet nod, and you accept, chewing carefully. The crunch is loud in the hush of noon. This is the danger not of violence or storm, but of animals themselves. The caravan depends on them, yet their needs can break you. One of the younger camels wheezes, coughing up foam, its legs trembling. Its handler coaxes it with low hums, stroking the long neck, trying to calm it. Records suggest traders sometimes carried small balls of butter fat to feed collapsing camels, quick fuel to revive them. Letters from other caravans hint that onions were mashed into water as a remedy, the sharpness meant to rouse appetite. Not every beast survived. When they did not, their burdens were divided, doubling the weight on those left. You watch as two men lift a pack from the trembling animal, their faces grim. No one speaks the truth aloud. If this camel fails completely, its hide and bones will feed the fire tonight. Nothing is wasted on the road. The straps you carry dig into your shoulders as the load shifts. Leather stiffened by sun rubs raw patches against your skin, the kind that turn into sores within days. You roll one shoulder and hear the creak. Pain becomes a quiet companion, never absent, always humming. Some men smear animal fat under their straps to ease the rubbing. Others sew scraps of cloth into padding. You have neither today, only the ache itself. When the march resumes, the animals rise with complaints. Sand sticks to sweat along your arms. The sun has no patience, glaring harder now, bleaching the world into white. Ahead, dunes shimmer with heat haze, shapes bending like glass. The road is invisible, yet the guides lead with confidence. You trust them because you must. You listen for patterns in the caravan's movement. Each camel bell strikes its own rhythm, and together they weave into a steady pulse. Footsteps follow, crunch, thud, crunch. The sound hypnotizes you. At times you feel yourself slipping into a trance, walking without thought, guided only by that beat. It is dangerous to drift too deeply, misstep, and you can stumble into a hoof or veer from the line. Some say hallucinations come not only from thirst but from the drumming rhythm of the road itself. Accounts contradict one another. Some insist it was rare, others tell of whole groups wandering off after mirages. You keep your eyes fixed on the back of the man before you, letting him anchor you against the shifting desert. Afternoon drags. The sun begins its slow tilt downward, but the air holds its weight. Sweat dries on your skin as quickly as it forms, leaving a film of salt that stings your lips when you lick them. You chew another date, savoring the small burst of sweetness. That sweetness too is rationed. You count the pieces in your pouch and know they must last. The danger of animals grows more pressing when one stumbles suddenly. A cry rises, the line halts, dust swirling as feet drag to a stop. You push forward to see. The camel lies on its side, chest heaving, ropes tangled beneath it. The load has shifted, pressing against its ribs. Men gather, tugging at knots, lifting jars of oil and cloth bundles to ease the weight. Someone cuts a strap with a dagger, the leather snapping free with a sharp smell. Together they haul the animal upright, but it sways, eyes rolling. The handler curses softly, then strokes the beast's nose as if in apology. Not every stumble ends in recovery. You remember a story told at a caravanserais weeks earlier of a desert stretch where bones of pack animals littered the sand white as driftwood. Traders said the ground there was cursed, though others claimed it was only bad luck with weather. Either way, the sight lingered. In this moment, as you watch the camel sway, you imagine those bones and feel the fear in your chest. The march continues, though more slowly now. Each step carries the weight of that reminder that survival is not guaranteed, not for beasts nor men. By late afternoon, the sun softens at last. Shadows stretch long once more, and the air feels almost merciful. You notice sounds again, the flap of cloth in the wind, the creak of wooden poles, the murmured prayers of men as they walk. Some chant quietly, rhythmic syllables keeping pace with steps. You try it yourself, repeating a phrase, and find the beat steadies your breathing. Perhaps this is why such chants exist, to hold the body in line with the road, to shield the mind from despair. As dusk approaches, the animals grow restless, scenting the cooler air. Bells jangle more sharply. Handlers whistle, voices soft but firm, guiding the line into a hollow between dunes. Here the caravan will rest. Fires are lit, their smoke trailing into a violet sky. You ease the pack from your shoulders and feel the sting of relief, though the ache lingers. Tonight you will eat little more than you did this morning. Bread grain boiled into a thin porridge, maybe a shred of dried fish, if fortune is kind. The taste does not matter so much as the ritual, eating together, reminding one another that you are still alive. You watch flames lick the night, and feel your body sag into exhaustion. The dangers of the day fade with the light, though you know others wait in the dark. But for now, as the first stars prick the sky, you let your eyes close. The road has been survived another day, thanks to beasts that carried more than they wished, and to bodies that endured more than they thought possible. Night passes in fragments of uneasy sleep, broken by the shifting of animals and the hiss of wind moving sand across the ground sheet beneath your body. When morning comes again, the cold is sharp but brief, for the sun rises quickly and soon the heat returns. You stand, shoulders heavy, and begin walking once more. This day stretches long across a plain where dunes give way to flatter ground. Here the danger is not storm, not thirst, but silence. The desert becomes a blank scroll, line after line unwritten. You place one foot before the other, and the rhythm of movement is so steady that it feels like a dream. The crunch of sand, the shuffle of hooves, the jangle of bells, these sounds repeat endlessly until your ears no longer separate them. The horizon never changes. Ahead the same pale haze. To the sides, only wavering lines of sand, a few twisted shrubs half buried in drifts. You blink and feel the world blur. The sameness itself is a trap, a danger hidden in monotony. Records suggest that some travelers, exhausted by repetition, lost track of direction altogether. They wandered in circles, convinced they were still on the path until others pulled them back. You sense that danger even now. Your eyes begin to imagine what they crave. A glimmer on the horizon looks like water, a blue smear where no lake could be. Heat shimmers dance like spirits. You know it is a mirage, but still your heart leaps before your mind scolds it back into rhythm. Not everyone resists so easily. Letters hint at men who broke from the line, convinced they had seen an oasis chasing ghosts until they collapsed. The silence weighs heavy. Conversation is rare, each swallow of spit feels too precious to waste on words. But in this emptiness, thoughts echo. You think of the bed you left behind, of walls that shielded you from heat and cold, of meals that came without fear of running out. The mind begins to play tricks, stretching comfort until it hurts. This longing is another danger. You glance at the man walking beside you, his face hidden under a cloth, eyes half closed against the glare. He mutters to himself, perhaps prayers, perhaps only fragments of thought. His lips crack as he moves them. Some guides insist that quiet chanting wards off both boredom and despair. Others claim the desert itself demands silence. Which is right, no one can prove. You consider trying, whispering a rhythm of words, but decide against it, saving your breath. Hours pass like this. The body moves without thought, a puppet pulled forward by the weight of routine. Sometimes you stumble, catching yourself at the last moment. The sand seems to tilt beneath your feet. Though you know it is level, dizziness flickers, fatigue wraps your mind like gauze. To keep yourself steady, you focus on details. The way a camel's tail swishes against flies, the patch of darker fur along its hump, the faint marks of older straps across its hide. You notice the grainy rub of sand under your sandals, the pulse of your own breath against the cloth covering your mouth. These tiny sensations tether you when the horizon threatens to swallow you whole. Quirky remedies are whispered among the caravan. Some say chewing on fennel or cumin keeps the senses sharp. Others recommend pressing a small stone beneath the tongue, tricking the mouth into believing it has water. You try it, lifting a smooth pebble, washing it quickly in what remains of your skin, and setting it under your tongue. The cool weight is strange but soothing. Whether it truly helps or only distracts, you cannot tell. The heat grows harsher toward noon, and the silence deepens. A young handler ahead begins to sway, his steps uneven. Two men catch him before he falls fully. They lay him in the shadow of a camel, and fan him with cloths. His lips move as if speaking, but no words come. Whether it is exhaustion or delirium, no one is certain. They drip water onto his tongue, only a few drops. Slowly his chest steadies. He will walk again, but not easily. These are the dangers that go unnoticed in stories told later, the invisible ones. Not swords, not storms, but the long hours of sameness, the weight of heat, the way silence can hollow out the mind until nothing remains but a shell moving through sand. By afternoon the sun tilts, and a faint breeze lifts grains into the air. You welcome it, though it stings your skin. Shadows stretch longer. The monotony breaks at last when a low ridge appears ahead. The guides call out, voices sharper than they have been all day. Relief pulses through the caravan. A change in the land means a chance for rest, for shade, perhaps for water. Your pace quickens with the others. The ridge grows larger, a ripple of stone rising from the flat. The caravan bends toward it, pulled by hope. For now the silence fades, replaced by murmurs, sharper breaths, a flicker of life in tired eyes. The danger of monotony passes, for this evening at least. When you finally kneel beside the ridge, pressing your palm to cool stone, the texture grounds you again. The desert has not stolen you this day. You are still present, still whole, still aware. Night will bring new dangers. But for now the road's dead silence has loosened its grip, and the caravan breathes together again. The wind begins as a sigh, light enough that you welcome it. After hours of heavy heat, the first moving air feels like relief, cool against your cheeks, stirring the sweat at your temples. The camels lift their heads, ears twitching, nostrils flaring. You think perhaps it is only evening's gift, a small breeze rolling down from far hills. But the guides look to the horizon, their eyes narrowed, and you know it is more than that. A line of brown smudge rises above the dunes. At first it looks like a faint cloud, Then it spreads, thickening, curling like smoke across the sky. Someone shouts a warning. The word repeats down the line in different tongues, urgent, rising above the clank of bells and the scuff of sandals. A sandstorm is coming. There is no choice but to prepare. The caravan jerks into sudden order. Handlers pull hard at the camels' reins, forcing them to kneel. Packs are tightened, skins checked. You copy those around you, wrapping your headcloth higher, pulling the folds across your nose and mouth, until only your eyes are bare. The air is sharp now, carrying the smell of dust, even before the storm reaches you. Records suggest storms like this could rise in minutes, turning day into night. Some travelers wrote that winds screamed so fiercely they stripped paint from wood, others that the silence of it was worse, the desert swallowing every sound. You cannot know which this will be, but as the smudge grows darker, you feel fear prickle across your arms. The first gust slams against you with sudden force. Sand stings your cheeks, tiny needles biting your skin. You bend low, crouching near your pack. The camels moan, their long voices trembling like horns. Dust floods the air. The world shrinks to a blur of swirling grains. You shut your eyes, and still grit seeps beneath your lids. It scratches, burning. You cough into the cloth, but the dust enters anyway, filling throat and lungs with dryness deeper than thirst. The storm roars louder, a voice without words. The horizon vanishes. You reach for the man beside you, but his shape flickers, swallowed in a haze of brown. Bells jangle faintly, then fade. You are alone inside the storm. You press yourself against the ground, as others do, curling into a small shape. The sand moves like water, flowing over you, tugging at cloth, rattling straps. Somewhere in the swirl, jars crack, packs tumble. You hear a thud and the squeal of an animal forced down. Your heart beats fast, but there is no space for panic. The storm eats every thought. Stories contradict about what to do. Some letters advise covering your head entirely and waiting it out. Others tell of digging shallow hollows in the sand, lying inside until the winds pass. But when storms lasted for days, neither advice was enough. Whole caravans were buried, legends say, bones still hidden under dunes. Whether that is true or only a warning tale, you cannot tell, but you feel the fear of it in your chest. Minutes or hours pass. It is impossible to measure. The storm moves like an ocean without tide, rolling in endless waves. You breathe shallowly, forcing each gasp through the cloth, tasting grit with every inhale. Sand crunches between your teeth. You close your eyes tighter, lashes coated. Your skin feels flayed, rubbed raw. And then, as suddenly as it came, the storm begins to thin. The roar softens to hiss, then to whisper. You risk opening your eyes. The air is still thick but lighter. Shapes emerge, a kneeling camel shaking sand from its ears, a man coughing into his sleeve, another staggering upright with eyes red and streaming. The ground is changed. Packs lie scattered, half buried. A jar lies shattered, peppercorns spilled black against the pale drift. Sand covers everything, smoothing lines, erasing prints. The world looks newly made, as if no one had ever crossed here before. You brush grit from your skin, but it clings stubbornly, scratching with every movement. Your lips are cracked, bleeding in small lines. Thirst grows sharper, as if the storm has stolen every drop of moisture from your body. You touch the water skin at your side, finding it intact, though lighter than before. Relief washes through you. Others are not so lucky. Shouts rise as men dig through drifts, searching for lost packs, precious skins or tools swallowed by sand. One camel lies still, half covered. Its handler kneels beside it, pulling at the reins, voice hoarse. The animal does not rise. You watch silently, knowing what this means. The load will be divided, the body stripped by nightfall. Nothing else is possible. The danger of sandstorms is not only the moment of terror, but the days that follow. Dust clings to lungs, making breath shallow. Grit lodges in wounds, turning scratches into festering sores. Food spoiled by sand tastes of stone. every bite a reminder of what you endured. But for now, as the storm drifts away, a pale sky returns. The caravan gathers itself again, men brushing sand from beards, women shaking it from cloth bundles, children rubbing eyes raw from grit. Bells jangle faintly, as animals are forced upright once more. The line reforms, slower, sadder, but still alive. You walk again into a world that feels emptied, the air faint with dust, the horizon scrubbed clean. The storm has passed, but the memory of it clings, humming in your bones like the echo of thunder. The desert has reminded you how small you are, how fragile each step is, how easily wind can erase everything you carry. And still the caravan moves forward, because forward is the only direction left. The road tilts upward. First it is only a gentle slope, the kind you barely notice until your calves begin to ache. Then the sand grows firmer, scattered with stones, until you are no longer crossing dunes but climbing into the bones of the earth itself. The horizon changes shape. Blue ridges sharpen into jagged outlines, teeth of stone cutting into the sky. The desert's vast openness lies behind you now. What waits ahead is narrower, steeper, and far less forgiving. Your sandals scrape against loose rock, the familiar crunch of sand replaced by clattering pebbles that tumble away down the slope. The caravan lengthens, stretched thin along the path, each man and beast forced to walk single file. The bells that once chimed lazily against the desert air now clang sharply against stone, every strike echoing in the mountain silence. Breathing grows harder. The air is thinner, colder, as though invisible hands press against your chest, stealing half of every inhale. You try to fill your lungs, but the breath feels shallow, unsatisfying. A sharp chill bites at the inside of your nose. Your lips grow numb. Each exhale comes white and misty, a cloud dissolving quickly in the wind. Accounts from Buddhist pilgrims like Faxian and Shunzang describe this same thin air, men gasping, stumbling, sometimes collapsing with faces blue from lack of breath. Some guides say it is only weakness. Others whisper about mountain spirits who steal the air. As your chest tightens, both explanations feel equally possible. The camels struggle too. Their long legs, so sure on sand, slip often on icy rock. Handlers shout, pulling reins, steadying beasts that sway dangerously near the drop. More than once you hear the scuffle of hooves, the sound of stones tumbling into nothingness. You glance over the edge once and regret it immediately. The valley lies so far below that you cannot see its bottom, only mist swirling where the world seems to fall away. Your own feet slide often. The sandals you wear are thin, leather cracked from long miles. There is no firm sole, no padded grip like a modern boot would give. Each step demands careful attention. Your toes curl against leather, gripping as if that alone can keep you upright. The caravan halts by mid-morning, in a small hollow. The wind is harsher here, slicing through cloth and cloak, but the animals need rest. Fires are coaxed from the driest wood, carried in bundles since days earlier. Smoke curls pale against the cliffs, snatched immediately by gusts. You sit close, palms stretched to the warmth, while water is boiled in a bronze pot blackened by soot. Into it go barley grains, onions shriveled from long storage, and a scrap of salt. The steam rising from the pot is rich with promise. The smell alone feels like safety. When the bowls come round, the porridge tastes flat, yet every mouthful sends warmth down into your belly. It is not enough to banish hunger, but it steadies you. A fellow trader shares a trick, chewing a piece of dried ginger root kept in his pouch. The burn clears the throat and warms the blood, he says. You try a sliver, and the fire on your tongue almost makes you forget the cold around you. Camels grumble low as they kneel, snow already clinging to their shaggy coats. One younger beast refuses to rise after the halt, folding stubbornly to the ground. Its handler shouts, tugs at the reins, even slaps the flank, but the camel will not move. Records from caravan manuals hint that fat or butter was sometimes rubbed into the beast's mouth to rouse it, or onions mashed into water to restore appetite. Here the handler presses a handful of grain mixed with rancid oil between the camel's lips. For long moments nothing happens. Then with a shudder, the animal lurches upright again. Relief spreads through the caravan like warmth from the fire. The path grows narrow as the day continues. You find yourself pressed against rock walls, shoulders scraping stone rough as a file. At times the ledge is barely wider than your body. A cliff yawning empty to your left. Men whisper prayers under their breath, not daring to look down. Some guides blindfold their camels, believing that without sight of the drop the beasts walk steadier. Whether this works or not you cannot know, but watching the line of animals plod forward, eyes covered with cloth, you believe it might. Snow thickens beneath your feet, crunching under sandals. The cold seeps in quickly. Toes sting, then go numb, each step like pressing bare skin to ice. You flex them often, hoping to keep life in them. The wind hisses louder, carrying flakes that sting your cheeks and cling to your lashes until you blink hard to clear them. Cloaks are drawn tighter, but the gusts find every gap. The cold is not merely discomfort, it is danger. Numb fingers lose their grip on reins. Shaking legs falter more easily. By late afternoon, clouds gather, the sky dims to grey, swallowing the sun. A guide urges haste, warning of avalanches. Travelers' accounts speak of sudden roars echoing down the slopes, walls of snow crashing without mercy. No one forgets such warnings. The pace quickens despite fatigue. Breath rasps louder, bodies bend forward, every step urgent. At last, near dusk, the caravan finds shelter in a hollow between high cliffs. Fires are lit again, their glow flickering against stone walls. You crouch close, thawing hands so stiff you cannot unclench them at first. The food tonight is thin porridge once more, salted water with a few grains, but it tastes better for the warmth it brings. Around you others slump in silence, eyes hollow, shoulders sagging. You lie down at last on ground cold as iron, cloak pulled tight. Beneath your body, the earth steals heat relentlessly, and you shift often, chasing small patches of warmth. Imagine lying on a tile floor in winter, without a mattress or blanket thick enough to soften it. That is how the mountain ground feels. Sleep comes anyway, dragged by exhaustion stronger than comfort. Above, stars scatter sharp and countless across the black sky, their light colder than fire. Wind howls through the pass, a voice that never rests. You close your eyes to it, telling yourself you will rise again tomorrow, though tomorrow means steeper climbs, thinner air, and dangers yet unseen. Still you sleep, because here on the Silk Road, weariness is heavier than fear, and the body knows only one answer to rest when it can. You wake to the hiss of wind against stone, and the brittle snap of frozen ropes being untied. The fire that burned last night has died to a scatter of grey ash. Your cloak is stiff with frost, edges crusted where your breath condensed through the night. Rising feels like breaking free from a shell of ice. Every joint resists, and the cold bites deeper than it did in the desert dawn. It is not a sharp chill anymore, but a heavy weight, a numbness that slows the body. The caravan stirs with the same sluggishness. Camels shake their heads, ice crackling from their fur. A man crouches over his animal's hooves, chiseling frozen mud away with a shard of stone. Another curses softly as he untangles a rope frozen stiff around a jar of oil. Your own hands burn with ache as you coil your strap, fingers refusing to obey at first. Breakfast is meagre, a scrap of flatbread hardened to stone, dipped briefly into warm water to soften. Someone sprinkles salt, another shares a pinch of dried herbs carried since the last town. You chew slowly, the taste flat, but soothing simply because it means the day has begun. Steam rises from a pot where snow has been melted into water, tasting faintly of smoke and stone. It warms the mouth, though only briefly. The climb continues upward until, at last, the path crests. Ahead lies a high plateau, wind-swept and vast, where the horizon opens again. Here the danger shifts. No longer the cliffs or avalanches, but customs and rituals, the small acts that shape survival in this in-between world. The guides pause to mark the crossing. They set small piles of stones, adding new rocks to older cairns left by others before. Some murmur prayers, voices low against the wind. You follow the custom without hesitation, choosing a stone and placing it carefully, as if it anchors your own journey into memory. Records describe such practices along the Pumer and Tian Shan routes, travelers leaving offerings to mountain spirits, sometimes food, sometimes scraps of cloth tied to branches. Not everyone agreed on why. Some said it was gratitude for safe passage, others that it was a bribe to keep storms at bay. You tie a scrap of red thread from your pack onto a crooked twig, watching it flap in the wind. The gesture feels both foolish and necessary. You do not know if the mountains care, but you care, and that is enough. Walking resumes, slower now, bodies drained. To keep spirits alive, men share small songs. The chants are simple, more rhythm than melody, but they carry footsteps forward. You listen, then join in, your voice thin at first, then steadier. The sound gathers the group, weaving dozens of tired bodies into one thread pulled across the plateau. At midday the caravan halts again. This time the meal is a mixture of roasted grains and dried milk powder stirred into hot water. It tastes of sour cream and ash, but it warms your stomach. A few share dried apricots, sticky and sweet, a luxury saved for such moments. You bite one, savoring how its brightness cuts through the heaviness of barley. Quirky as it sounds, some letters suggest fruit was believed to chase away mountain spirits, sweetness fighting bitterness. Whether superstition or practicality, you chew slowly, believing in its comfort. Around the fire, men share tales. One speaks of a caravan that vanished on this very plateau, swallowed by snow. Another insists spirits guard certain caves, punishing anyone who enters without an offering. Stories contradict one another, some full of dread, others of blessings, yet all are told with the same quiet certainty. You feel them settle into you like the wind itself, impossible to shake. The day stretches on. The plateau offers no shelter, only endless stone and wind. Your eyes blur from the sameness, your breath harsh in the thin air. You rub your chest, willing your lungs to expand. Some traders suck on cloves, carried for this purpose, sharp flavor tricking the body into deeper breaths. You try one, its fire cutting through the cold air, and for a time your chest eases. As dusk falls, the caravan gathers once more, circling against the wind. Fires are coaxed from dung and splinters of wood, their smoke whipping sideways. Tonight's meal is thin broth flavored with garlic and onions, pungent enough to mask the stolness of the water. You sip, steam clouding your face, and feel a fragile warmth seep through you. Before sleep, the rituals return. A guide sprinkles a few drops of broth into the fire, an offering for the spirits of the pass. Others bow their heads, muttering prayers. You do the same, not out of belief alone, but because such customs weave the group together. They remind you that you are not alone on this road, that countless others have walked before, leaving scraps of stone and thread as proof of their passage. You lie down on the hard earth, wind pressing against your cloak, firelight flickering across faces drawn thin by fatigue. Above, stars scatter once more, cold and sharp. The wind hums through the cairns, carrying whispers you cannot quite understand. Your eyes close with the rhythm of chants still echoing in your ears, carrying you into a sleep, both fragile and deep. The night is restless. Sleep comes in fragments, shallow and broken. Every time the fire crackles low, or the wind shifts, you stir awake. Once you roll onto your side and find a pebble pressing into your ribs, sharp as a thorn. You adjust your blanket, only to wake again when a camel moans, its deep rumble shaking the ground like distant thunder. When dawn finally arrives, pale and grey, you are grateful just to rise, even though your body aches from the cold. You stand stiffly, stretching sore legs, and hear a cough echo from one of the men. Another follows, harsher, wet. The sound spreads through camp like a chain reaction. Illness has begun to whisper its way through the caravan. In such close quarters, with smoke stinging eyes and dust clinging to throats, sickness is inevitable. Breakfast is thinner than usual, A handful of boiled millet, sticky and bland, washed down with smoke-flavored water, melted from snow. You eat slowly, tasting more ash than grain. One man refuses his share, his stomach twisting from fever. He pulls a blanket tighter and turns his face away. His friend offers a remedy: garlic cloves crushed in water, the sharp smell strong enough to sting your eyes. Others shake their heads, saying it is useless. Not everyone agrees on cures. Some believe garlic wards illness. Others claim only dried apricots can chase fevers away. The debate murmurs through the camp, but in truth no one knows. The march resumes. You adjust your strap, feeling raw skin on your shoulder where sores have begun to form. Each step rubs the wound deeper. You grit your teeth and move anyway. Around you men cough, spit into the snow, and keep walking. The animals complain too, breath puffing white. One sneezes violently, scattering froth across its handler's robe. He wipes it away, muttering, "Even beasts are not free from sickness." As the day lengthens, fatigue spreads like a shadow. A boy stumbles, falling to his knees. Two men lift him, steadying his steps. He tries to smile, but his lips are pale. Records from travelers suggest that fevers often swept caravans in the high passes, sometimes wiping out entire groups before they descended. Others contradict this, claiming most illnesses were mild and forgotten within days. Your own experience lies somewhere between small discomforts threatening to become greater at any moment. At midday, the caravan halts near a cluster of rocks that break the wind. Fires are lit quickly, smoke rising thin and straight in the still air. Bowls are passed with hot broth flavored with sour milk and a pinch of salt. The taste is sharp, almost unpleasant, but the warmth steadies shivering bodies. You cradle the bowl in your hands, letting the heat sink into your palms. Beside you, a man unwraps a bundle of dried herbs tied with twine. He sprinkles them into boiling water, creating a pungent steam. He invites others to breathe it in, saying it will clear lungs and chase away fevers. Some lean over eagerly, eyes watering from the fumes. You join them, inhaling the sharpness until your head feels lighter. Perhaps it helps, perhaps not. But the ritual itself eases your mind. The sick man from breakfast still refuses food. He lies near the fire, blanket pulled tight, lips moving in prayer. A woman sprinkles ash around him in a small circle, a charm against spirits of disease. The gesture is quiet, almost embarrassed, but others nod in approval. Whether medicine or magic, every attempt matters. The march resumes after rest. Snow crunches underfoot, mixed with patches of frozen mud. The path narrows again, forcing single file. You notice the coughs less now, drowned by the steady rhythm of steps, but the memory lingers. Sickness is another danger, one that rides inside the body, rather than outside it. Afternoon drags into dusk. The wind rises, carrying ice that stings cheeks and makes eyes water. Fatigue deepens. You think of warmth far away, wool blankets, lamps, the comfort of soup that fills rather than only warms. Such comforts belong to another world. Here there is only the grind of movement. By nightfall, the caravan halts in a hollow sheltered from wind. Fires flare bright, wood mixed with dung, the smell pungent but necessary. Dinner is porridge once more, flavored with fennel seeds traded weeks ago. The taste is sweet and licorice-like, strange but welcome. You eat slowly, savoring each bite. Around the fires, stories are told. A man recalls a caravan long ago where fever struck so fiercely that half the men never rose. Another counters with a story of miraculous recovery after a stranger shared a pouch of saffron, believed to heal any illness. Tales contradict, but each carries the same lesson. Danger lives as much within the body as beyond the horizon. The sick man lies near, feverish, mumbling. His friend feeds him spoonfuls of broth, though most dribble down his chin. You watch quietly, knowing that survival on the Silk Road is measured not only in miles but in the stubbornness of bodies to endure. You lie down at last, cloak pulled tight, the smell of smoke in your hair and herbs still sharp in your nose. The wind hums above, but inside the circle of firelight, you feel a fragile safety. Your chest aches, your throat scratches, but you breathe steadily, telling yourself that tonight you are still well enough to walk tomorrow. Sleep drifts in slowly, like mist over the mountains. Illness prowls the caravan, invisible and persistent, but for now the fire's glow is stronger. You let your eyes close, knowing dawn will bring another day of walking, another test of body and spirit. The fire gutters low in the night, and the cold presses heavier without its glow. You wake once to the sound of jackals yipping in the distance, their cries sharp, almost like laughter carried on the wind. The sound slips through the camp, stirring men from uneasy sleep. Someone tosses a stick onto the embers, coaxing sparks until flames rise again, pushing back the dark. The animals stir too. Camels shift restlessly, groaning with deep bubbling sighs. The bells tied to their necks give nervous little notes, like fragments of a broken song. Morning arrives with a brittle sky, pale and empty, and frost lacing the edges of every rope and strap. You rise slowly, shaking stiffness from your limbs, and join the line as the caravan moves. Today the danger is not silence or sickness, but the living world beyond men, the creatures that stalk the road. The path winds lower now, out of the high passes and into valleys where scrub and brush cling to the ground. The air is thicker, easier to breathe, but the shadows among rocks feel closer. Every sound carries differently here. The snap of twigs under a boot, the grind of hooves against stone, the rustle of wind in thorny branches. In the city, you think, noises at night mean life, markets, footsteps, a door slamming shut. Here every noise is a question, and every question might end in teeth. By mid-morning, tracks appear in the snow, paw prints pressed deep, too large for a jackal, too wide for a dog. A murmur spreads among the traders. Wolves. Some glance nervously at the camels, which groan uneasily, heads swinging as they scent the air. Wolves are clever, patient hunters. Records suggest they often shadowed caravans for days, waiting for the weakest beast or a straggler to fall behind. You wrap your headcloth tighter, listening. The bells jangle as usual, but underneath comes a faint sound, the pad of paws in snow, quick then still. You glance to your left, catching the flicker of movement between stones, a grey shadow gone in an instant. Your breath quickens. The caravan does not stop. Stopping would invite attack. Instead, handlers walk closer to the animals, voices raised in steady commands. Some men carry spears, others bows strung and ready, though arrows are precious and not lightly spent. You keep to the middle of the line, comforted by bodies before and behind you. At noon the caravan halts near a patch of thorn bushes. Fires are lit quickly, smoke curling blue. Wolves dislike fire, men say. You chew flatbread and roasted chickpeas, jaw aching from the hardness, eyes never leaving the ridges. A fellow trader mutters about old charms, urine sprinkled around camp to drive beasts away, or strips of red cloth tied to branches. Another man laughs, saying only steel, and numbers keep wolves at bay. Contradictions circle like the animals themselves. The break is short. Soon the line moves again, shadows lengthening as afternoon fades. The air grows tense. Every sound feels sharper, the jingle of a bell, the scrape of leather, the sudden bark of a camel. Then it comes, a howl, long and rising, answered by another and another. The caravan stiffens. You grip your strap tighter, heart hammering. The wolves do not rush at once. They circle first, voices echoing from every side. Camels shift nervously, eyes wide, breath steaming. Handlers shout, wave torches pulled from the fire, the flames sputtering in the wind. The line closes tight, men forming a living wall around the animals. Then a flash of grey. One wolf darts forward, teeth bared, snapping at a camel's leg. A spear thrust drives it back, yelping. Another rushes from the side, scattering men. Arrows fly, one striking, another missing, vanishing into dark brush. The fight is frantic, clumsy. Wolves do not stay long under fire. They test, they taste, then vanish. After a few desperate minutes, the howls fade, shadows melt back into stone, and silence. Relief comes in uneven breaths. A man kneels by a camel, with blood on its flank. pressing cloth to the wound. The beast groans but stands, stubborn as ever. No men are lost, only scratches and shaken nerves. Still, the fear lingers. The wolves may return tonight, hungrier, bolder. When camp is made, fires are set high, larger than usual, eating up precious fuel. Men keep watch in shifts, spears ready. The smell of roasting grain and goat fat drifts in the air, but everyone eats quickly, eyes flicking off into the darkness. You taste little of your meal, though the warmth fills your belly. Around the fire, stories are told to pass the time. One man insists wolves are guided by spirits, choosing only caravans that have broken taboos. Another claims they are simply beasts, no more cursed than camels. Records contradict, as always. You listen, staring into flames, knowing only the fear you felt when grey shapes rushed the line. But wolves are not the only predators. Snakes sometimes slither into camps, drawn by warmth. One trader recalls waking with a viper coiled near his fire, its body stiff from cold, but still alive enough to strike. Others speak of snow leopards, stalking high passes, their pale fur vanishing against cliffs, until they pounce. Whether true or exaggeration, the stories keep your ears pricked, your body taut. Night deepens. The jackals return with their laughter cries, but the wolves remain unseen. You lie close to the fire, cloak tight, ears straining at every sound beyond the circle of light. The darkness here is heavier than city darkness. There are no lamps, no doors to lock, no neighbors stirring just beyond the wall. Only firelight, and the trust that your companions will stay awake when it is their turn. Sleep comes slowly. Every crack of wood, every shift of wind sounds like paws in the snow. Your dreams are restless, filled with glowing eyes at the edge of vision. Yet the body, worn thin by miles, eventually surrenders. You close your eyes at last, knowing dawn will come whether or not the wolves do. Survival is not only endurance of heat or thirst, but of fear, the kind that creeps into your dreams and waits for you to wake. The morning begins not with the sun but with the sound of shouting. You start awake to see men gathered near the front of the caravan, voices sharp with anger. The wolves did not return in the night. But another danger has arrived. Men of authority, men who demand tolls. A wooden barrier stretches across the narrow path where the caravan must pass. Beyond it stands a cluster of soldiers, spears upright, cloaks striped in bright dyes. Their helmets gleam faintly, bronze polished but dented from years of use. Their faces are stern, cheeks wind-burned, eyes hard with the kind of boredom that hides cruelty. They are not raiders in rags. They are officials of the border, guardians of some distant lord who claims these valleys. Their posture is clear. No one passes without payment. The caravan slows, bunching into uneasy knots. Camels groan, their loads swaying as they halt. Dust lifts in nervous clouds. The leader of your caravan steps forward, robes plain but voice steady. He bows deeply, pulls a pouch from his sleeve, and lays it across both palms. Coins spill out with a clink, flashing in the morning light. His words are measured, humble, his head inclined in respect. You cannot hear everything, but you see the gestures, the soldiers pointing to the camels, to the packs, to the jars of spice and silk. Their tone is flat, but their eyes linger too long on certain goods. You feel the weight of waiting in your chest. The desert and mountains have been harsh, but they were honest. This feels more dangerous. Men who smile thinly while slipping knives into your pockets. Records suggest such tolls were common along the Silk Road. Some were legitimate, entered into ledgers, and sealed with official stamps. Others were bribes demanded under threat of spears. Travelers' accounts contradict whether traders accepted these as the price of passage or cursed them as theft disguised in silk banners. You, standing now in the middle of the caravan, see only coins slipping away, sweat prickling beneath your cloth, as soldiers count too slowly. One soldier shakes his head. Too little. More is required. Murmurs ripple through the caravan. A man mutters angrily, but another elbows him into silence. To argue is to risk everything. One wrong word could send men to prison, or worse. At last more coins are brought forward. their clink sharper this time. Along with them comes a jar of saffron, sealed with wax, its fragrance escaping even through the cracks. The soldiers handle it greedily, passing it hand to hand. Finally they nod. The barrier is lifted, the spears lower, and the road opens once more. Relief exhales across the caravan, but bitterly. Coins are gone, goods surrendered, yet there is no celebration. You walk on with the others, head bowed, tasting the sourness of injustice. By afternoon, the caravan enters a market town, walls of sun-baked mud brick rising from the valley floor, compared to the emptiness of the mountains. The town is loud, colourful, overwhelming. Children chase each other across dusty alleys. Dogs bark, bells ring from a shrine. The air is thick with smells, roasting lamb, pungent garlic, the sweet tang of figs laid out to dry on reed mats. Relief mingles with dread. Here lies water, shade, a place to rest, but also new risks. Officials patrol with ledgers and ink-stained fingers. Merchants crowd, some honest, others eager to cheat strangers. At the gate, guards halt the line again. Each load is inspected, jars unsealed, bolts of cloth unrolled, sacks of wool prodded by curious fingers. The smell of cinnamon and pepper spills into the air, drawing children and onlookers. One guard lingers too long, his hand slipping a pouch of spice into his cloak. The caravan leader notices, his jaw tight, but bows lower and says nothing. Accusation would mean ruin. Inside the town, animals are led to a walled yard, a caravanserais, where troughs of water wait. The camels plunge their lips deep, drinking until foam spills down their chins. The sound of their thirst quenched is strangely soothing, a heavy bubbling rhythm echoing in the yard. Men scatter, eager to use the hours wisely. Some head to stalls to buy grain, onions and dried apricots. Others visit healers, pressing coins for jars of ointment or pouches of herbs. A few seek scribes, recording debts or dictating letters to families hundreds of miles away. You wander through the market, clutching your pouch tighter, fingers running over the rough edges of worn coins. Stalls blaze with colour, copper bowls catching sunlight, embroidered cloth rippling like banners, figs so dark they gleam like polished stones. The air is thick with voices, bargaining and calling, laughter mixing with curses. Hunger leads you to a stall where a pot of lentil stew bubbles. The vendor ladles thick spoonfuls into a clay bowl, pressing a flat round of bread into your hand. The bread is warm, soft for once, not like the hard wheels you chew on the road. You tear pieces, dipping them into the stew, and taste richness you had nearly forgotten. Garlic, cumin, a hint of vinegar. The warmth spreads down your chest, loosening the knot of travel from your ribs. For a moment, you almost sigh, but danger lingers here too. Taverns crowd the streets, filled with smoke and the sour reek of wine. Men drink loudly, boasting of profits and routes, their words overheard by ears too interested. Bandits and corrupt guards alike haunt such places, weighing which caravans are worth following, which worth robbing. Letters hint that some innkeepers themselves betrayed travelers, sending word ahead to raiders in exchange for a share. You glance often over your shoulder, half expecting eyes to follow you. When evening falls, the caravan regathers in the yard. Fires are lit within its walls, smoke curling upward. The animals settle, chewing cud, eyes half closed. You sit against a pack, belly full, but heart uneasy. The dangers of the Silk Road are not only storms and wolves. They are men with ledgers, men with spears, men who see travelers as walking coffers. Still, as night deepens, you cannot deny the fragile comfort. Walls enclose you, food rests in your stomach, and water cools your throat. The voices of the town hum faintly beyond, a reminder of civilization after so many silent days. You lie back, cloak wrapped tight, staring at stars only half hidden by smoke. Safety and peril, always side by side. Tomorrow the road will open again, and new tolls may wait. But for tonight, you let your eyes drift closed, soothed by the mingled scents of spices, dung smoke, and baked bread, the perfume of a place where caravans pause, halfway between survival and ruin. Dawn comes softer in the town than it did on the open road. Instead of the endless hiss of wind, or the howl of wolves. You wake to the bleating of goats in the streets, the chatter of women carrying jars to the well, and the sharp call of a vendor already hawking bread. The air smells different too. Ashes from dung fires, yes, but also smoke from olive oil lamps, a sweetness of figs drying on mats, even the faint perfume of incense burned in a nearby shrine. For a moment you could almost believe you are safe, but as the caravan prepares to move, the unease returns. Men pack loads quickly, eyes flicking to the gate where guards wait. It is not raiders that make them nervous today, but tolls and corrupt officials, those who wear authority like armor and use it as a weapon. At the yard's gate, the caravan is halted once more. Ledgers are brought out, the kind with stiff pages, smudged ink, and names written in a dozen hands. Each camel is tallied, each jar and bundle noted. A scribe, his fingers blackened with ink, squats on a stool and scratches marks beside your caravan's entry. He does not look at you, only at the goods, his lips pursed as if he tastes their value on the air. A guard thrusts a hand into a sack of wool, pulling fibers loose, letting them drift on the breeze. Another slices the wax seal from a jar of cinnamon, plunging his fingers inside, tasting the powder on his tongue. The caravan master bows deeply, saying little though the strain in his voice is clear. You and the others stand in silence, watching profits leak away grain by grain. One soldier lingers by a crate of indigo cloth. His hand smooths across the fabric, then lingers too long tugging a piece loose. The master sees, his jaw clenched, but bows again, murmuring a phrase that means nothing but survival. You realize then how thin the line is between trade and theft, between law and banditry. Here the spear is just as sharp, though carried in daylight. Accounts of such towns vary. Some travelers wrote of fair officials who protected caravans and punished cheats. Others filled pages with bitterness, swearing that corruption drained more wealth than raiders ever could. Records contradict, but the truth feels clear in your chest. Coins lost to a robber's knife sting once, but coins bled slowly from your purse in the name of tax sting forever. At last the officials wave the caravan through. You step beyond the gate, though the taste of injustice lingers like sour milk. Coins are gone, goods are lighter, yet the road stretches forward, and forward is the only way. The caravan moves slowly through the town's main street. Here the noise is overwhelming. After the silence of the mountains, vendors call out in 3 or 4 languages, praising their wares. Brass bowls catch the light, like captured suns. Carpets hang, bright with patterns that seem alive. Pyramids of dried apricots glow amber. Nuts are piled like treasure. Figs gleam almost black. The smells twist together. Roasting lamb, fresh bread, fermenting wine, dung smoke, incense. Your head spins from the richness of it. You slip a coin to a baker for a round of soft bread, its crust blistered, its inside steaming. You tear a piece and eat while walking, marveling at the chew, the salt, the way it melts on your tongue compared to the hard wheels you gnawed on the road. A fellow trader buys skewers of lamb fat, sizzling over coals, and the smell alone makes your stomach ache with longing. He shares one bite. The richness coats your mouth, smoky and tender, and you swallow with gratitude. But even in the market, danger breathes. Men with sharp eyes linger at corners, watching. A scribe leans casually against a wall, noting who carries silk, who carries gold. Inns bustle with laughter too loud, travelers boasting of profits too freely. You know some of those words will reach the wrong ears, passed like coins to bandits waiting down the road. Letters hint that innkeepers themselves sometimes played both sides, offering wine with one hand and information with the other. By afternoon the caravan regathers. Water skins are filled, sacks of grain purchased, bundles tied tight. The camels are coaxed from the yard, their bellies full, their lips dripping foam from troughs. They moan at being loaded once again, their patience shorter in town than on the road. As the caravan files out of the gate, the guards do not stop you this time. Perhaps enough coins have been taken. Perhaps they are simply tired. The sun is lower now, shadows stretching long across the walls. You leave the town behind, its roofs fading into dust, its smells lingering faintly on your clothes. That evening camp is made beyond sight of the walls, fires are lit, and dinner is better than usual. Grain boiled with onions, a few figs shared among the men, even a splash of wine poured into a communal bowl. You drink one sip, the taste sharp and earthy, the warmth a gift after days of thin porridge. Around the flames, voices rise. Men grumble about the coins lost, but others remind them that at least you live to grumble. A merchant tells of a caravan seized entirely at another town, goods confiscated, men jailed until ransom was paid. Another recalls a generous official who protected his group from raiders, demanding nothing more than a fair tax. The stories contradict, as they always do, but each reveals the truth. The greatest danger of the Silk Road is not nature, nor beasts but men. Men who call themselves protectors and use that name to take. You lie down near the fire, cloak drawn tight. The night is quieter here, away from the town's noise. The stars return, sharp and cold, their silence heavier than all the voices you heard in the market. You feel the ache of coins gone, but also the relief of walls left behind. Tomorrow will bring the open road again, and with it dangers more honest, less hidden in ledgers and stamps. For now you let your eyes close, soothed by the fire's crackle, and the faint taste of bread still warm in your mouth. The morning begins with the low crackle of rekindled fires and the smell of smoke curling into a pale sky. You rise slowly, shaking dust from your cloak, and feel the stiffness in your shoulders where straps pressed hard yesterday. Today the road stretches outward again, away from the town, back into emptier lands where your only comforts are what you carry. Yet in this emptiness lies one fragile sweetness, food by the fire, the rituals of meals that bind the caravan together. Breakfast is simple but warm. A pot of grain soaked overnight is boiled into porridge. The flavor is plain, but someone stirs in dried fruit, a handful of raisins gone nearly black, softening in the water. Another adds a pinch of salt rubbed between his palms. You eat slowly, spooning the hot mixture into your mouth, and the warmth spreads down your chest, easing the ache of cold air. The texture is coarse, sticking between teeth, but compared to the stale bread of yesterday it feels almost luxurious. You think briefly of breakfast in another life, fresh bread from an oven, butter soft enough to spread with a knife, coffee rich and dark. Here you lick your spoon clean, grateful for even one raisin in the bowl. As the sun climbs, the caravan marches onward. Packs sway on camels' backs, leather straps creak, bells jangle, dust rises again, and with it thirst. You walk steadily, your stomach comforted by grain, your body steady for now. Yet already you think ahead to the evening, to the promise of another fire, another meal. On this road food is not simply fuel, it is hope. By midday the caravan halts near a cluster of low hills. Fires are coaxed quickly from twigs and dung. Men gather around them, breaking bread and sharing bowls. Today it is roasted barley, ground coarse and cooked with water until it becomes a thick paste. Someone adds sour milk, turning it sharp, almost unpleasant yet strangely refreshing. You swallow each spoonful, grimacing at the taste but grateful for the energy it carries. Beside you, a trader produces a small pouch of cumin seeds. He sprinkles a few into the pot, and suddenly the air fills with a sweet, spicy fragrance. Everyone leans closer. A single spice transforms the meal, turning bland paste into something memorable. You remember the luxury of towns, where spices overflowed in jars and bowls, and marvel that a single pinch here is enough to lift spirits. Some men eat silently, heads lowered, while others murmur prayers before each bite. One offers a piece of flatbread to his neighbor before tearing his own. The act is small but carries weight in the desert. Sharing food is a sign of trust, a promise of protection. Records from Persian travelers mention how caravans often ate communally, dividing meals so that no one went hungry. To hoard food was dangerous, not only selfish but a threat to the group's survival. Evening comes, and camp is made near a shallow stream. The sound of trickling water is a rare gift, its coolness reflected in the air. Fires flare against the growing dark, and the ritual of supper begins. Tonight it is lentils boiled until soft, flavored with onions carried from the town. The smell is strong, filling the air with a sweetness that mixes with smoke. Bowls are passed around, and you eat slowly, savoring the way the lentils melt on your tongue, their earthy taste grounding you after the long march. The firelight paints faces gold and red, smoothing away fatigue for a few hours. A boy plucks at a stringed instrument, its wood scarred but still singing. Notes weave gently with the crackle of flames. Some men hum, others join with soft voices, chants that rise and fall like the rhythm of footsteps. Laughter bubbles occasionally, sharp but brief, carried on the smoke. Quirky customs appear in these moments. One man insists on tossing the first spoonful of food into the fire as an offering to unseen spirits. Another sprinkles wine on the ground before drinking, saying it binds the journey to safety. Letters hint that such practices varied by region. In Central Asia, milk was often offered; in Persia, dates or bread. Not everyone agreed, but few objected. Superstition, like food, nourished in its own way. Stories follow once bowls are empty. A man recalls a caravan where a cook invented a dish from almost nothing, flour fried with butter and honey borrowed from a passing beekeeper. The taste, he swears, was fit for kings. Another counters with a darker memory, meat gone sour, eaten anyway, that left half his companions doubled over in pain. Contradictions hang in the air, but each story underlines the same truth. Food is survival, but it is also risk. You lick your fingers, the taste of lentils still clinging faintly, and lean back against a sack. Smoke clings to your hair, to your cloak, to your very skin. It will not leave for days. Yet the smell itself becomes familiar, almost comforting. If you were home, you might scrub it away with soap and water. Here it is a perfume of survival. Later silence grows, the boy's instrument rests. Men lie back, bellies no longer hollow, eyes drifting shut. The stars prick sharp above, cold and countless. You close your eyes too, and the taste of cumin still lingers faintly on your tongue. It is not much, yet in this vast dangerous road, it feels like treasure, one soft reminder that life, though fragile, is still worth savoring, mouthful by mouthful. The night passes peacefully, though dreams come crowded with images of wolves and storms, toll collectors and mountains. When you wake, the sky is pale grey and the fire is already smouldering low, a thin coil of smoke bending in the breeze. You stretch stiff muscles and wrap your cloak tighter before joining the others in breaking camp. Today, the dangers do not come from weather or hunger, but from within the caravan itself. Trust is fragile when men share so little food and so much fear. The march begins quietly, dust rising with each step, the sound of bells jangling off the camels' necks. At first, nothing seems amiss. Then at mid-morning, whispers ripple through the line. A pouch of figs has gone missing, lifted from where it was tied to a pack. The owner, a man with a scar on his chin, glares at his companions, suspicion sharp in his eyes. He demands to know who took it. No one answers. Silence stretches, heavier than the heat. By midday, the tension grows. Another man claims his pouch of salt has been tampered with, some of it gone. Voices rise, brittle and accusing. The caravan leader tries to soothe tempers, insisting perhaps a rope slipped or an animal brushed too close. But the men are not convinced. In the desert, food is not only wealth but survival. Theft is more than insult. It is threat. At camp that night, mistrust seeps into every gesture. Men sit in tighter circles, bowls cradled close to their chests. Conversations hush when others approach. You notice glances darting towards certain hands, towards certain bags. Suspicion is a shadow that lengthens faster than the fires. You dip bread into lentil stew, chewing slowly. The flavor is flat tonight, not because the cook is careless, but because your tongue is sharpened by unease. Around you, men mutter stories of past betrayals. One recalls a caravan where two brothers fought over a sack of saffron, knives drawn, and both bled into the sand. Another tells of a trader who stole water skins during the night and was found at dawn hanging from a rope. Accounts contradict. Some say such punishments were rare, others claim they were common, necessary to keep order. You feel the weight of both versions pressing down on this fire circle. Later, as the fire burns low, two men argue openly. One swears his bread was stolen, the other insists he has nothing but his share. Their voices rise, fists clench, and for a moment you expect blood. The leader steps between them, holding his arms wide, reminding them of the wolves, of the storms, of the spears of border guards. He tells them that enemies outside are danger enough. There is no room for enemies within. His voice is steady but tired, his authority fragile. You lie awake longer than usual, cloak tight around your body, pouch tucked under your head. The fire's embers glow faintly, red against the black. Shadows shift beyond the circle, camels stirring, men turning in their sleep. Every sound makes you tense. The danger is no longer just outside the camp but inside it, gnawing at trust like mice at grain sacks. Morning comes with red eyes and clenched jaws. The caravan moves forward. Though the rhythm is broken, men keep their distance. Voices fewer, where once laughter flickered between steps. Now there is only silence, suspicion walking alongside every shadow. And yet even here, bonds still form. You notice one man sharing his water with the boy who faltered days earlier, tilting the skin carefully so none is wasted. Another passes a handful of almonds to his neighbor, wordless but generous. Contradictions again, mistrust and kindness, theft and sharing, all tangled together. Perhaps this is the truest danger of the road, not storms or bandits, but the shifting line between selfishness and survival. By afternoon, the air grows heavy, clouds swelling in the distance. Rain threatens, a rarity in these lands. Men glance upward, almost relieved. Rain will wash dust from throats, cool aching bodies, refill skins if you are lucky. But it may also turn paths into rivers, slow camels into mud. Danger never arrives alone. It always carries its opposite hand, promise and threat braided together. That evening, when camp is made, you sense the tension easing slightly. Rain does fall, thin at first, then steadier, drumming softly on cloaks and packs. Men tilt bowls upward, catching drops, laughing despite themselves. Suspicion cannot survive long beneath shared laughter. The sound is brittle but real, a reminder that even distrust must sometimes bow before the relief of water. You eat that night with the taste of rain mixing into the stew, thinning the broth but sweetening the spirit. Around you, men's voices rise again, cautious but warmer. Stories are told once more, not of theft or betrayal, but of omens of spirits said to follow caravans through the desert. A man swears he once saw a flame flickering above the dunes, guiding them to water. Another claims shadows walk beside every traveler, invisible but present. Whether true or not, the stories are softer than yesterday's accusations. You lie down at last, belly filled with warm broth, rain dripping faintly from your cloak. The fire sputters, hissing as drops fall into its heart. Around you the caravan breathes more evenly, suspicion dulled for now. Tomorrow it may return. But tonight you sleep with the rhythm of rain in your ears, soothed by the fragile peace it has brought. The morning breaks with the smell of damp earth. A rarity on this road, the thin night of rain has settled into the ground, leaving the air fresh, almost sweet, though your cloak is still heavy with moisture. You shake it out, watching droplets scatter, and feel the coolness cling to your skin. It is a relief after so many days of dust and heat. The camels too seem livelier, their breaths puffing in the brisk dawn air, lips tugging at the wet grasses sprouting along the path. The caravan forms up again, packs lashed tightly, bells clinking as animals kneel and rise. Your legs ache, your shoulders burn, but routine guides you forward. Each day has become a rhythm of rise. Walk, eat, walk again. The sameness is itself a danger. Fatigue settling so deep it no longer feels like exhaustion, but simply the way of life. You move because moving is survival. By mid-morning the sun returns. It dries the land quickly, lifting steam from stones. turning the smell of damp into the familiar dust once more. The road stretches on, shimmering. For hours you walk in near silence, until at last a low wall appears on the horizon. Relief ripples through the line. It is not a town this time, but a caravanserais, a refuge built for travelers like you. The building rises square and solid from the plain. Walls of mud, brick thick as fortress walls. A wooden gate yawns wide enough for camels to enter side by side. You step through into a shaded courtyard, and the change is immediate, cooler air. The scent of dung smoke replaced by herbs burning in clay braziers. The sound of water trickling from a central fountain. The animals are led to troughs, their groans easing into softer grumbles as they drink. You slip your strap from aching shoulders, and feel a relief so sharp it is almost painful. The weight gone, your body feels light, hollow, unsteady. You sit for a moment on the edge of the fountain, splashing water onto your face, the coolness shocking but blissful. The stone rim is damp and rough beneath your palms, the spray wetting your cloak until it clings cold to your skin. Inside the caravanserais, the routines unfold. Packs are stored in shared chambers, watched by guards whose eyes measure everything. Men settle into alcoves along the walls, spreading blankets on stone benches built into the architecture. These benches are not beds, they are hard and cold, but compared to earth and sand they feel like luxury. You cannot help but imagine for a moment a feather mattress, a clean white pillow, the soft click of a lamp switched off, modern comforts that make this place feel more like a barn than an inn. Yet here, within walls, you feel safe. Fires are lit in braziers, smoke curling upward to small vents cut into the ceiling. Merchants haggle with innkeepers over the price of meals, stalls and storage. A group of men gather in a corner, counting coins and whispering deals for silk. A scribe sits cross-legged, writing contracts by lamplight. Letters from past travellers describe these inns as little cities of their own, each courtyard a marketplace, each wall carrying secrets. Meals here are richer than on the road. In the courtyard, a cook stirs a great pot, steam rising fragrant with garlic, coriander, and lamb bones simmering deep. The smell makes your mouth water instantly, tugging at your belly like a string. You trade a coin for a bowl, the clay warm in your hands. Inside is stew thick with chickpeas and lentils, flavored with spices you cannot name. You dip bread, soft fresh, baked in the ovens here, and the combination nearly overwhelms you. The salt, the heat, the tender meat falling apart between your teeth. It feels like a feast after so many days of thin porridge. Some records describe caravanserai kitchens, roasting entire lambs, their fat dripping into flames, the smoke rising high into night skies. Others mention saffron rice served to wealthier guests, steaming golden, perfumed so richly the scent lingered on clothes for days. Not every traveller enjoyed such luxuries, but even the simplest bowl here tasted like paradise after weeks of dryness. Tonight you believe it. Around you the mood lightens. Men laugh openly for the first time in weeks. Dice clatter on stone. A boy tumbles with a dog in the corner, their play echoing in sharp barks of joy. Wine appears, thick and cloudy, poured into clay cups. Some grow loud with song. Others lean close, whispering tales. You hear stories of vanished caravans, of treasure lost in deserts, of miracles and betrayals. Contradictions fill the air, but each word binds you closer to the group, weaving strangers into companions. Still, not all is safe here. The caravanserai is a crossroads, and not every guest is honest. Bandits sometimes disguise themselves as merchants, drinking with traders by the fire only to follow them onto the road. Letters speak of innkeepers, who measured goods with sharp eyes, noting which rooms held the richest packs. You feel it too, the double edge of this place. Comfort and danger braided together. The stew fills your stomach, but you keep your pouch close. That evening, the courtyard glows with firelight. Smoke drifts upward, stars faint above the haze. Merchants raise their cups, toasting survival, profit and safe journeys ahead. Others kneel by the fountain, washing dust from their faces, rubbing sore feet in cold water. You dip your hands too, shivering at the shock, then smile quietly at the small mercy of clean skin. Before sleep, you walk once more through the courtyard. You add a stone to a small pile near the fountain, a habit of travelers passing through, an unspoken prayer for safe journeys. Some tie scraps of cloth to the wooden doors, bits of color fluttering in the night air. You do the same, a piece torn from your worn headcloth. It feels like insurance, however small. When you return to your alcove, the fire is low, men sprawled in uneasy rest. The stone bench beneath you is hard as iron, but it feels almost soft compared to sand and frozen earth. You stretch out, cloak folded beneath your head, listening to the sounds of murmured voices, the faint bark of dogs outside the wall, the trickle of water still flowing in the fountain. The stars above are dimmed by smoke and walls, but you glimpse them still, pricking silver against the dark. You close your eyes, stomach full, body warm, yet heart cautious. The caravanserais shelters you tonight, but tomorrow the road will call again, wide and dangerous, waiting to strip this comfort away. The dawn inside the caravanserai feels different. It is not the harsh stab of desert light or the knife-edged chill of the mountains, but a gentler glow filtering through the wide gate. You wake to the murmur of voices and the scrape of sandals across stone. A donkey brays somewhere beyond the walls, and the smell of baking bread drifts into the courtyard. For a moment you might believe you are in a village, not halfway across a dangerous continent, but the road waits. It always waits. The caravan stirs slowly. Blankets are folded, cloaks shaken free of dust. Camels are coaxed to their feet with groans and mutters. The fountain gurgles as men fill their skins one last time, knowing the water beyond will not be so plentiful. The air is heavy with mingled scents, smoke from last night's braziers, dung from the yard, herbs burned as offerings to spirits of travel. You drink deeply, the water metallic and cool, letting it wash away the dryness of sleep. As you shoulder your pack again, the weight feels familiar, almost welcome. It digs into the same bruises, rubs against the same sores, yet you accept it as part of yourself now. The strap has left a permanent line across your shoulder, as though marking you a creature of the road. The gate creaks open, and the line begins to move. Outside, the world greets you with emptiness again, a plain stretching flat beneath the rising sun, the horizon washed in pale gold. Behind you, the caravanserai shrinks quickly, its walls sinking into distance until they seem only another mirage. Shelter is always temporary here. The rhythm of walking resumes. Steps crunch against dry earth, bells jangle, dust lifts in soft clouds. You breathe it in, cough and carry on. This is the road's constant gift. Sameness, repetition, the knowledge that danger hides in monotony, as much as in storm or spear. By midday, the heat presses hard. Sweat drips down your spine, soaking cloth already stiff with salt. The camels moan, their heads swaying side to side. One stumbles, sending a jar of oil tumbling to the ground where it shatters, black liquid bleeding into the dust. Men curse softly but keep moving. To linger too long is to invite other eyes. The afternoon drags. The desert spreads unbroken. No ridges, no streams, only the wavering haze of heat. Yet the caravan presses on, driven by memory of shelter and promise of the next. Each step is both pain and persistence. As evening falls, the sky softens to rose and violet. Shadows stretch long, merging into one another, until the caravan itself seems a single dark snake winding across the plain. A breeze rises, cool at last, lifting the hair from your brow. The road has spared you today. No wolves, no storms, no toll collectors, only the endless patience of walking. Camp is made in a shallow hollow. Fires are lit, bowls filled with barley gruel, onions and a pinch of spice saved from the town. The taste is sharp, filling better than it has any right to be. You eat slowly, letting each bite remind you that you have survived another day. Around the fire, voices murmur stories, some about prophets waiting in Samarkand or Kashgar, others about omens glimpsed in the stars. Contradictions weave through every tale, but all carry the same message. The road is long, and danger never ends, yet still men walk it. Later, lying beneath the stars, you think of what you have faced: thirst, storms, sickness, suspicion, wolves, spears, ledgers. Each danger left its mark, but each day still ended with food, fire, and the slow comfort of human voices. Perhaps that is the truest secret of the Silk Road, not the goods it carried, but the people who bore them stubbornly, step after step. You close your eyes, cloak wrapped tight, the last warmth of the fire fading against your cheek. The world tilts towards sleep, and the dangers drift into memory. Tomorrow will bring new trials, but tonight you let yourself rest in the fragile peace you have earned. The fire burns low, its last embers glowing faintly in the hollow of ash. Around you the caravan sleeps, their breaths deep and even, the camels murmuring in low, bubbling sighs. The dangers of the road, wolves, storms, fever, suspicion, the spears of guards, fade slowly, as though the night itself is drawing them away. You lie still, feeling the rough weave of your cloak against your cheek, the faint grit of sand clinging even here. Above, the sky is vast, scattered with stars sharp as glass, but softer now, distant, harmless. Each star seems to pulse gently, like a lantern swaying on the horizon, and you find your breath moving with that rhythm, in and out, slow, steady. The road recedes behind you. The clatter of hooves, the sting of dust, the ache of hunger, all dissolve into quiet memory. You are safe now, no wolves circle, no storm rises. The ledger books are closed, the toll collector's gone, only silence remains, and the warmth of fire fading to a gentle glow. Your body feels heavy, but in a welcome way, as if the earth itself is holding you, cradling you against its wide, cool surface. Every muscle loosens, every thought drifts. You need do nothing more. The day's march is finished. The night belongs only to rest. The caravan's voices are gone now, swallowed by sleep, and yours joins them. The world narrows to a soft hum of wind across the plain, to the slow rise and fall of your breath. You are safe, you are warm, you are carried, not by beasts or burdens, but by the certainty that the road can wait until morning. And so the journey fades. The Silk Road drifts away like a dream, leaving only stillness, only peace, only sleep.